The front page of Steam does say Callisto Protocol out now. It's out! Let's go. Okay. Came out a little early. I did see something in chat about it having terrible reviews right now, so I'm going to look that up while it downloads. Because that would be shocking. Oh my god! 68 gigs! I didn't expect that. Okay, we've got plenty of time to read some reviews then. Okay, let's take a peek. Oh, my ad block crashed.
A proper remake might be rising from the grave next year, but the festering corpse of
Thank
Dead
you, Tier
Space
1
has come
Mina.
lurching back to life early in the form of the Callisto Protocol. This spiritual successor to the sci-fi survival horror series recreates the blood-streaked hallways and monster-slaying hallmarks first established on the USG Ishimura back in 2008, and injects the gore with more ore than ever before thanks to some strikingly detailed splashes of blood and guts.
This looks good so far from just this little bits of
Unfortunately, while the
gameplay.
mutant
Everything I've
dismemberment
seen
has
looks
never been
good.
more vivid, the Callisto Protocol's shortcoming.
But yeah, someone in chat mentioned... Oh, here, let me find the thread. Apparently most of the reviews on Callisto Protocol have been bad. Let me find that thread. Thanks to the Prime Amaras. There's a lot of good reviews as well? Okay. Well, let's get the whole list out. Okay. 8.7 out of 10 from Os Gamers, 7.5 from Checkpoint, 5 out of 5 from Dexerto. That's the only like perfect score or even anything close. They must have been very excited. 3.5 from Digital Trends, 7.8 from Every Eye, 6 out of 10 from Game Informer, 3.5 Game Rant, 66 Game Pro, 5 out of 10 from GameSpot, 3 out of 5 Game Hub, 8.5 God is a Geek, 7 IGN Classic, literally always a 7. 6 from Inverse, 6 from Metro, 8 from Monado, 79 from PC Gamer. So at very best, it's a little above average, it seems, according to the reviews. That is super mixed. Overall 7-ish, yeah. It looks like it's about overall a 7-ish. There's some very low ones, like a 5. A 2 from this one, Christ. But, yeah. Averaging everything together, it looks like it's coming out to like a 7. We'll see though, I mean, I've been very excited for this game. I'm shocked that it didn't get glowing reviews. There must be some like actual glaring problems.
Things appear just as clearly. Occasional control annoyances, imbalanced combat, and a general absence of innovation
How
result
long
in
for the download? Let's see. Not much longer. It's at 41% already.
roughly 8-hour massacre that's gratifyingly gruesome, but never quite as great as the series that inspired it.
Already at maximum! We're not gonna make it! Yes, we are! Watch out! Hold on!
Thanks for your surviving light.
Catastrophe has struck the Black Iron prison facility on the moon of Callisto, and the inmates are revolting. Not just in the sense that they've escaped their cells and are causing a riot.
I just kind of want to get towards like the verdict section. I don't want any spoilers or anything, and IGN does that from time to time, so I just kind of want to see what they point out as problems.
which brings a welcome sense of urgency to fights with groups of agitated foes. This is perhaps best exemplified by a late-game ride on an underground drilling platform, with hordes of attackers that set upon you from all
Yeah, I'm gonna
sides
start
and
this tonight.
instantly power up as a result of being lashed by the shards of flying rock. It's definitely one of the most heart rate ratcheting sequences of the entire journey. But Callisto Protocol's handful of boss fights are disappointingly one-dimensional and never really blew my mind, although they certainly smashed Jacob's skull on a number of occasions. These samey boss
Hype.
encounters aren't the only things overused in the Callisto Protocol either. The same can be said of many of the attempted jump scares. Having a facehugger leap out of the locker you're searching is certainly startling the first time, but by the 6th or 7th time it feels like you're being forced to endure the same repeated office pranks of an alien April Fool's Day.
That's not really like a big deal though. That's just silliness. Okay. So what are some of the big problems?
The Callisto Protocol is a supremely atmospheric and action-heavy tour through a spectacular slaughterhouse set in distant space. Its largely
Thanks to the
linear
resub.
design makes for minimal
Jira and gifts of
backtracking,
Josh.
meaning it trims the fat while leaving no shortage of bone and gristle to rip and tear. However, it also betrays its survival horror roots by regularly tipping the balance of power too far in favour of the player.
So it's too
While
easy?
there's plenty of murderous fun to be had using giant grinding mechanisms to make mulch out of mutants, such cheap thrills come at the high cost of puncturing any tension and dread that the tremendous art and audio design works so hard to invoke. Aside from the meaty melee combat, there's also the overriding sense that there's little here that hasn't been done before. Therefore, the Callisto Protocol might be a
What?
satisfyingly gory spiritual successor to the Dead Space series, but it's ultimately more of a striking modern mimic than a scary new mutation.
I don't think it was trying to be. Like, I
Keep
can't
an eye
think
out
of
for-
many games that are Dead Space-like. It's not exactly a thriving genre or anything. It really is just kind of Dead Space, and that's it. And yeah, from everything I've seen here, it looks like everything's done before, but that seems to be more on purpose. It's not like it's just borrowing from a very popular genre. It seems like an interesting complaint. 7's just the safe score IGN always gives, but I'm a little surprised that it's even that, because that wasn't very hefty criticism. It was pointing out like the jump scares being a little silly, as well as it not being innovative, which is a fine complaint, not being innovative, I guess. But it really was just being a spiritual successor to Dead Space, and it looks like it succeeded there. Yeah, I'm downloading it right now. It's almost ready. We'll see, because this has very mixed reviews. I have not agreed with a GameSpot review in years, but they did give it the lowest, and I want to know why.
Despite releasing a full 15 years later, you could argue that the Callisto Protocol is a spiritual successor to Dead Space, given the original pitch from direct.
What do you mean you could argue? That's like actually what they sell it as. It's not like an argument or something that you need to justify. Like they actually advertise it as a spiritual successor to Dead Space.
Glenn Schofield was for Visceral Games' survival horror title to be set within a prison, not a mining vessel. And in a lot of ways, the Callisto Protocol similarly dazzles with its incredible art direction and sound design, even emulating Dead Space's over-the-shoulder third-person perspective and integrated HUD. However, the Callisto Protocol goes its own way by focusing on melee strikes and dodges.
The melee
utilizing
looks
a
pretty
combat
good.
system that feels great at first, but isn't suitable for the game's more action-focused latter half. Plus, lengthy death animations compound the frustrations of surprise difficulty spikes, creating an experience that feels like an uneven mix of horror and action that fails to adequately commit or excel at either.
I guess I don't really get that one because I haven't played it yet, but
A
what?
freight transporter contracted to ferry cargo for the United Jupiter Company.
One of the main things that like people remember from Dead Space is the gruesome long death sequences. Those are iconic. Of course those are going to be in this game. I don't see why that'd be like a complaint. Like die once, see it, be like, damn, that was gruesome. Don't die again. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Living supplies from the UJC-operated Black Iron Prison on
Okay, let me
Callisto
just get to the verdict.
its combat around. Any of the enjoyable fear and tension I had experienced in the early going had been gone for hours at that point. To be fair, the Callisto Protocol does change things up for one level in the latter half of the game, trapping Jacob in a series of tunnels filled with biophages who are blind but sensitive to noise, thus encouraging you to approach
I will never
with
use stealth.
instead of usual swinging and shooting. It's
I
somewhat
won't do
enjoyable
that.
as a change
Fuck
of
that.
pace. The Callisto Protocol's stealth mechanics aren't anything to write home about though, but having a level exclusively focused on them does at least feel satisfying to break up the high octane action for a spell. The level only lasts for a short time though, and soon you're back to the lesser entertaining action focused set pieces from before. The Callisto Protocol
The
is
less
a very pretty game
entertaining?
when you pause between the biophases.
So he just didn't really like the gunplay or
When
anything,
Jacob
it
gets his
seems.
first good glimpse at Jupiter, I was struck. It's easily one of the best parts of the game, and I wish the corrupt prison guard had shown distinct noises they make. And mech design saved me on more than a few occasions. Close quarters brawls, when you're only fighting against a couple of targets at a time, but the game regularly locks you into frantic mosh pits or frustratingly difficult boss fights instead. And despite the vocal talent and mocap skill on display, the Callisto Protocol story isn't all that interesting, save for an intriguing final twist. Some genuine horror might have improved the experience of this survival action game, but the Callisto Protocol instead leans too far into absurd high-octane spectacle, dampening the
That was
tension and
cool.
adulterating the
What do you
narrative
mean?
core of the experience.
It really seems like he just didn't like the gameplay, which is fine, I guess. It also seemed like they showed a lot, like, spoilery in here, so I'm glad I skipped around, but goddamn. Let's give it a whirl. It has extremely mixed reviews. It's not just GameSpot. We're ready to ride.